Imagine if you were just playing some Roblox and having an absolutely great time. And then you just go and open the shop. The shop is made out of only GUI. Imagine if someone made a game using only GUI.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
In this video, I'm going to be making a game using only GUI. Since it's only GUI, it's going to be basically just a 2D game, no 3D whatsoever. And I'm sure it can't be that hard to do.
What was I thinking?
I'm going to crash out. Frederick, you cannot keep drinking milk straight from the carton. Hey, stop! Making my way downtown. I don't know the lyrics. I'm spinning. The first thing I actually want to do is make a plan for my game, since usually I just make games without any plan whatsoever, and they end up pretty interesting to say the least. But with those games, I could just build a few things, make some game features, and figure it out from there. But making a game using only GUI, you are starting with literally nothing. Oh wait, you might have a few questions, like why is there a giant turtle over there?
And why is the sun so bright?
But I'm sure that what you're really confused by is what GUI is. Well, it's not that complicated, I'll explain it. GUI is any little button that'll pop up on your screen, like for a menu, they'll have the play button or whatever. And GUI stands for Game User Interface. It's just user interface as in anything on the screen that the player can interact with, like buttons or whatever. Alright, so about the planning. I originally planned on just coming up with a few gameplay features and making a pretty simple game, but instead I ended up spending hours making a super complicated game idea. And I don't think I'll be able to make all this in one video. The best way for me to explain it is Undertale, but you have a backpack. Are you ready to fight? You bet I am. But let me just grab something. Alright, but just make it quick. Yeah, you don't need to worry. Hey, wait, is that really necessary? You know what, let me tell you something, Sans. I originally wanted this to be a pacifist playthrough, but I've changed my mind. Yeah, sure, whatever, man. Alright, first thing I do is open an empty base plate. Right now, this is a normal Roblox base plate. Nothing interesting about it. You can do everything you can normally do on a base plate. You can run around, you can jump, you can move your camera around. But best of all is threatening noobs. Get down on the ground! Hey, wait, are you subscribed? Hey, alright, then you can go. Now I just gotta remove the player's ability to walk and also their ability to see. So they could only see GUI. So I just set the player's movement speed and jump height to 0, and now...
he's just standing there, menacingly!
Now I just gotta make the player blind by covering their screen with GUI. I go to start GUI, I add a screen GUI, then I add a frame. Now I just gotta set it to be the size of the entire screen, and this should... Maybe I should change the color a little bit. Yeah, that looks about right. Now when I play test the game, all you can see is GUI. It's just blue. Okay, now I just gotta make the inventory system, which I kinda wanna take inspiration from another popular game. Did you hear that the residents here are pretty evil? What are you even talking about? Resident Evil is known for having a really cool inventory system that you can move stuff around and it's kind of like a puzzle, just trying to organize stuff. And I want to recreate this system on Roblox by myself. This will not end poorly at all. First, I made an item slot that will be where we store items, obviously. Then I added a little gray part that could be the item, just for now. Then I went to Google real quick to figure out how to make a draggable GUI in Roblox. Then I found a dev forum that had exactly what I was looking for. So I'm just gonna borrow this real quick. Because like a wise man once said, hippity hoppity, your code is now my property. Now I can move the cube around. And I guess I could pretend that it goes in the slot, but it just doesn't really get locked in. I just gotta make it that it actually goes into the slot. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, that's sarcasm. I started looking through dev forums, but I really couldn't find anything. I downloaded this random model from the toolbox that I thought would help, but it didn't. I don't know what the script does. What the heck is even this? I googled even more and more. I could not find a solution, but then I realized that I could not just go to Google for this. I had to build a system from the ground up. So I started scripting a lot. More than I've ever scripted in my entire life. There was lots of bug fixing. And more bug fixing, and more bug fixing, and at this point, I'm gonna crash out! Then finally, after hours and hours of work, it happened. Oh my god! It works! It works, there you go. Since it's working now, I just made a bunch more, and it looks like an actual inventory system, and now I can finally rest. Psych! I actually gotta spend a few more hours just to let the item slot know when there's something in it.
Making a game with only GUI is impossible. What was I thinking?
I'm starting to get really tired of this UI. You know what? Let me just get it out of here. Actually, give me 1 second. Let me just do something. How exactly do I fix this? I mean, I'm definitely not good at designing UI, and that's something that takes a long time to learn. So I decided to use this really cool website called Forge GUI. Forge GUI is an AI tool that makes it extremely easy to make Roblox GUI. In order to make my UI look better, I just gave it an image of how the UI looks right now, and I also sent an image of the drawing that I drew earlier. Then I just write a quick prompt in order to tell it what I want, give it some time to think, and now it looks exactly how I want it to look. But the only problem is that there's a back button, which I didn't really want. So I just ask it to get rid of the back button, and now it doesn't have that problem anymore. Then I ask it to separate one of the item slots, so that way I could use it as its own separate thing. And one very powerful feature that Forge GUI has is that you can make variants of whatever you're making. So you could pick between all these different variants. I also prefer the first one. Then I just remove all the item slots from the backpack, and I just gotta recreate this in Roblox now. I just move stuff around and try and make it look as good as possible. Now the game already looks 10 times better. I also fixed it where whenever you're playing on different side screens, it doesn't ruin the entire game, because that was a problem. I would highly recommend trying it out. There's a few different plans depending on how many points you would like per month. So at least do the free trial, see if you like it. I would highly recommend it. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment, and thank you Forge GUI for sponsoring this video. At this point, I am running out of steam. Maybe I just gotta stick with this inventory and forget about the Resident Evil one. I know it would have been cool, but I just don't know if I can possibly do that. Maybe if I make a part 2 sometime, but I don't know. That's something for later on. For now, it's Minecraft inventory. I just started looking on the toolbox for random images of a weapon I could add or whatever. I just found the classic Roblox sword, and I think that's gonna be what I use since I am too lazy to draw something right now. All I had to do was customize an item slot a little to put the image on there, and now it actually looks pretty good. Then I made a little inspection window that could be where you place the items to use them, and also it could give you a little description or whatever. But as much as I'd like to do that right now, I gotta fix this annoying bug where 2 items, if you put them together, they get stuck together forever. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to fix this, but I just made the items teleport away from each other. This is probably the worst way possible to fix this, but I don't really know a better way to do this. Alright, now I just gotta make the inspection window work. So I did some scripting, and now it works. It says the item's name, what kind of item it is, it gives a little description, and says what it does. Alright, now that we've got a weapon, there needs to be an actual enemy to fight. So I just opened Krita and started drawing, and I just drew this little red guy. I don't really know what he's supposed to be, maybe a cherry or something? Then I made a health bar in Forge GUI real quick. I also added some beans so that way they could work as a health item later on. And yeah, the game's looking pretty good, but there's 2 main problems. One, literally all you do is move items around in your inventory. You can't attack, you can't get attacked, it's just super boring. And 2, I don't really like how this guy looks. Especially now that I have the forest background, he just looks really out of place. I really gotta fix both of these things. But for now, I will rest. What's going on? Wait, what is that? Why is there a duck on my screen? I guess there's a duck in the game now? Believe it or not, the game is finished now. You're probably wondering how I went from just having an inventory system to having a full game. Yeah, well, let me explain. I was just doing my normal bug fixing and polishing like I've been doing for most of my time on this game, and I was listening to music while doing that. But then suddenly my hour and 30-minute long playlist ends, and I just realized I gotta lock in. So I spent 2 hours making the entire combat system. I don't even know how I managed to do so. And this is the game. I'm just gonna open my inventory and use my sword to attack the duck. Then he attacks me back. I'm just gonna attack him again. Alright, I should be good to attack him again, I think. Yeah, okay. Let me just eat some beans. Alright, I can attack him again now. Alright, I gotta eat these beans again. Actually, let me eat them twice. There you go, full health. I should be able to get him this time. Like, I think I'll be able to kill him. Nope, it is not enough. Alright, this should do it. Wow, that was so worth the 2 weeks that it took to make this game. Alright, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. This one was very hard to make. And this is probably my first time really using GUI, and this was not the best introduction to it, but I still somehow managed to make a game. But using Forge GUI definitely made this video a lot easier to make. Yo, like and subscribe and stuff like that, and maybe hype the video. That would also help. See you on the next one, I guess, and goodbye.